Welcome to Worth It or Worthless, a show where every couple weeks we pull a game from my own personal collection of retro games, take off our nostalgia-tinted glasses and decide, is the game good by today's standards and is it worth the price of admission? We talk about what the game does well, what the game doesn't do so well, and the things that are just plain weird. I'm your host, Dan, joined as always by my friend Jordan. Jordan, what did we get into today?
Today we played Super Mario RPG for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. There was an idea to bring together a group of remarkable characters to see if they could become something more, to see if they could work together when we needed them. So when the Mushroom Kingdom needed them most, they could fight the battles that we never could. Super Mario RPG is the story of the Mushroom Kingdom Avengers, Mario and the Princess, teaming up with Bowser, Pinocchio, and Humpty Dumpty to defend their world from a never-ending supply of mini-bosses. It's basically Age of Ultron with Mario characters. There you have it. That's
Okay.
Super Mario RPG.
Were you reading the Age of Ultron description or something? Is that like the back of
No, there was an idea. It's from the Avengers. It's from Infinity War. Dan, are you kidding me?
You're a Marvel nerd. I'm not.
Oh, everybody knows there was an idea.
Okay,
This is what it is. You don't watch trailers. You don't watch movie trailers. It's one of the most iconic movie trailers of all time. They went back and they took that iconic scene from the Avengers where Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, he pulls together the team when they're about to lose it, and then they go back to that speech in the Infinity War trailer, and it's like, oh my goodness, we're coming back to that. Oh. See, this is what you miss out on sometimes. You miss these cultural moments when you skip movie trailers.
So this is Super Mario RPG is the Avengers trailer.
Basically, I mean, like, how else can you explain the fact that Mario is teaming up with his arch nemesis? Like, there's got to be, something greater on the line. So they're coming together to fight Smithy.
How could you explain it? Well, you play the game. They explain it in the game.
They do, but like, if you don't want to sit down for 17 hours, you could just. I was just trying to summarize it so somebody didn't have to
17 hours.
I don't know. How long was this game?
So if that's 17 hours if you don't play the last 2 hours?
No, I don't. Well, I have no way of knowing how many hours I put into this game because for some reason there's no clock on the save state.
Yeah.
So I have no clue how long I played this game for.
Just not the last 2 hours.
No, I didn't play the last.
You only played the first 17.
I didn't play the last 30 minutes of the game because I ran out of time. Like, I watched it on YouTube. I ran out of time.
He didn't play the last 30 minutes because he didn't want the game to end.
Yeah.
He wanted it to feel like they could go on forever.
You know what's funny about that? My sister-in-law, the biggest Lost fan I've ever met. Like, when Lost was out, that was like her life, right?
Yeah.
Like, you mentioned any of the numbers, like the lotto numbers from that show, and she would just like boom, her brain was in Lost mode.
Okay.
She's never watched the series finale because she doesn't want it to end.
Yeah. Well, I know very little about Lost, but I think the finale was generally not particularly satisfying for people.
No, I mean, there's no way to wrap up something like that when you got so many mysteries or whatever. But I mean, most people watched the finale that were as invested in it as she is. But maybe that's how I am with this game. Maybe I just don't want it to end.
Yeah, maybe.
But I did go and watch the ending on YouTube at 2x speed before I came over here so I could know what actually happens.
We did it again, folks. There's a trend here.
No, okay, this is very different. Last time I quit after disc 1 of Final Fantasy VII because there was just way too much and I was done with it. That's not what happened here. I played until the wee hours of the morning and I ran out of time.
Hold on to your butts, JRPG fans. Worth it or worthless did it again. Here we go. It's worth it or worthless. A couple of beat 'em up fans played another RPG.
No, that's not what's happening here. Give us some fun facts and stop picking on me.
Yeah, let's try to scrape together the pieces of this already flaming derailed train.
What are you talking
back
about?
Into a Super Mario RPG episode.
It's fine.
For like 4 minutes, we've been talking about the Avengers and Lost, and not Super Mario RPG.
It's all connected.
It is all connected. Okay, so we got some fun facts. Now, this game developed by Square, published by Nintendo. Nintendo's like, hey, what if we got those developers who make those RPGs that everybody likes?
Yeah.
Final Fantasy.
Yeah. Other ones.
Other ones that some people like. I don't want to say any because I'm like, is that one by Square? I don't know. I'm like,
oh yeah.
This is
Who knows?
Prepare yourself for this episode, please. So anyways, Nintendo's like, let's go get the RPG people, and we're going to make an RPG with our characters. And so developed by Square, published by Nintendo, released in Japan, March of 96, released in North America, May of 1996.
All right.
This was the final Mario game. This comes from Wikipedia. All of this stuff comes from Wikipedia, by the way. Shout out to Wikipedia. It was the first Mario game published for the Super Nintendo, and it was the final Mario game published for the Super Nintendo, and it was the final Square game released in America on the Super Nintendo.
All right.
So this was late '96. I mean, the N64 was coming out a few months.
It was on the verge.
This, which I mean, I think this game does show itself. I think it takes advantage of the Super Nintendo in a really interesting way.
Oh, yeah.
The graphics systems, all that stuff. Miyamoto produced the game.
As he does.
Kind
of just assume.
I was expecting a little more like, oh, yeah, cool. Like,
I mean,
sure.
It's a Mario game.
Yeah.
I would just assume it would feel strange if he hadn't.
I just thought you didn't know that because you didn't see the credits.
Okay.
Super Mario RPG is
I should have just lied to you. I guess that's the moral of the story.
You should have. I was like,
don't honestly tell you what happened.
Guys, he walked in today, and I was like, oh no.
I crutched in today.
Is this a thing? Yeah.
Rub it in, Dan. Oh, I have 2 working legs. I can walk.
Stop. That's not at all. That is not at all.
I'm just trying to get back at you because you're making fun of me for my not completing the last 20 minutes of this game.
What is that? What's that thing from Waterboy? Don't you put that evil on me, Baba Boucher. Like something like that. It's the first RPG in the Mario RPG franchise, which, you know, if you're unfamiliar, there's some, I think 1 or 2 on Game Boy Advance. There's a couple on the DS. Paper Mario, I think this paved the way for that as well. This, I think, gave Nintendo... I don't know if this game was, I think, more successful than they anticipated.
Yeah.
And so I think it was like, oh, Mario RPGs is a thing that we could keep doing. And I think it always is a pretty safe bet when you're playing these games. I don't think there are Mario RPGs that people don't like.
We've had pretty much every flavor of Mario game now.
Yeah.
I mean, thinking to a couple years ago when Ubisoft released the Mario and Rabbids.
Yep.
What do you call that kind of game?
Tactics, is it?
Yeah, like a tactics game. It's like,
XCOM clone or something?
You got all the different sports games. You got RPG. Yep. You got your platformers. We need a Mario deck building game. And then maybe he'll hit every genre.
Well, he's the everyman, you know? He does it all. He's a doctor. He's a construction worker. I think he's in Wrecking Crew. He's a pest control, right? Wasn't he in the bad guy in Mario or Donkey Kong 3?
Yeah, first and foremost, he was a plumber.
Well, no, he wasn't a plumber. He was a jump man. He was like a construction worker, right?
Plumbers can be working in construction.
You know, and then he was
contracted plumber.
And then they were the Mario Bros, you know, which I think
he's a brother, which is
cleaning
an important part of his aspect. Not so much in this game. You would maybe never even know that he had a brother until the credits, I think.
He's in the instruction manual. I don't know if you read the instruction manual on this one.
I did not on this
but there's a blurb in Luigi's like the one narrating the instruction manual, and he's like, I'm not part of this adventure, but I'm going to teach you how to play the game.
I'm not part of this adventure.
Yeah, something.
Wow, okay.
And then I think Luigi's actually in the credits as well.
Yeah, he was in the credits. Yeah.
So
that I watched.
Yeah, of course. So, and then later on, you know, I don't know if Luigi, I've never played a Paper Mario game. I'm sorry. I think I probably need to, but he's in the Mario and Luigi games for the RPGs on the DS. So I don't know why they were like, let's put Peach, it's going to be Mario and Bowser and Toadstool.
Toadstool. That's what they call Princess Peach in this game, is just straight up Toadstool. And I kept getting confused and I'd be reading stuff online and they're like, have Toadstool in your party. And I was like, I don't even have Toad yet.
Yeah.
But it wasn't Toad, it was Toadstool.
I like to call her Peach Toadstool. I like to articulate.
Oh, that's like her last name?
Yeah, Peach Toadstool.
This was a very formal game.
Yeah.
They could be going by last names because Mario's last name is Mario.
Yes. Luigi's last name is Mario, so they usually call him Mario.
That's probably why they didn't have him in this game. It would have been confusing since they were using last names. And he's Koopa Bowser.
Koopa Bowser. King Koopa Bowser.
Yeah.
Or is it Bowser Koopa?
Nobody could say for sure. Maybe it gets mixed up with Japanese, how they do their last name first.
Well, based on the Super Mario Brothers movie lore, it's like Vote Koopa. They don't really call him Bowser. So
whatever, man. All right, you got any more fun facts?
And I don't even know when they started calling him Bowser. I don't know if they call him Bowser in Super Mario Brothers, because I think he's King Koopa in that game. So I don't know if it was a Japanese version thing where he was like Bowser or like,
who knows?
Nobody can say for sure.
Somebody could. Miyamoto could.
Maybe I think he's the one who was like Mario and Luigi Mario. They're brothers.
Sure.
Well, maybe the new Mario movie will give us some. I haven't seen anything really, but I heard Nintendo just announced some stuff in the Direct.
Just the cast list.
Just the cast list.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully it's better than the original Mario movie, but I'm not going to hold my breath.
It's not going to be live action, so it can't be worse.
It can. All right, Jordan, a couple more little tiny fun facts. So I said that the game was released in Japan and North America.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't released in PAL regions and
Europe.
Australia and Europe.
Yeah.
Until 2008 when it was released on the Wii Virtual Console.
Real glad that wasn't what I chose for the trivia today.
Yeah.
Because that was an option.
And furthermore, it said it wasn't originally released in PAL regions due to needing to optimize it for PAL TVs and translating it into multiple languages.
Which is literally what they have to do for every game, so I don't really understand that excuse, other than the fact that this was at the end of the Super Nintendo life cycle, and maybe they didn't really believe that it was going to sell very well.
Yeah, well, I think that in the first month of sales, I can't remember the exact figures, they sold way more than they thought, and they realized, I think the target was 500,000 for the first year or something, or for 6 months, and they were like, oh, we're going to pass that. So like it was well received. I think it was underprinted early on, kind of a thing. So
maybe this is part of why Square and Nintendo kind of had a falling out, maybe because Square believed in this game and Nintendo didn't. That's just totally me making stuff up, but
who knows?
It's it's on the internet now, so it must be true.
Yep. 100%. Jordan, that's all my fun facts.
Those were pretty fun.
Yeah, so this game, this is a video game. It's Mario, and it's an RPG. And do you want to talk about what the game did well?
Yes, please. Let's do that before you do any more of whatever the heck that just was.
I don't know what I'm trying to say, but let's
right.
talk about what the game did well.
Let's.
All right, Jordan. The first thing on my list is the game is funny. The sense of humor of this game, the story, the jokes, the animation. There's like a lot of like
character. It has a lot of character.
There are a lot of characters in the game.
No. It has a lot of character.
I found myself laughing at this game way more than I thought I would.
Yes, that was my first point too. That it has a ton of characters. Look what you've done to me. It has a lot of
there
character.
are a lot of NPCs. It's an RPG.
My
you gotta talk to. You gotta read text boxes.
Stop it.
It's awful.
Well, that's part of it though. That it actually does feel vibrant. Like you have like all these different worlds and lots of NPCs, and it actually like feels kind of fleshed out. But like you said, the game has a lot of character. You have these cutscenes where Mario's doing wacky stuff and Bowser's showing all this emotion. You get more personality with Bowser in this game than probably every other Mario game combined.
Yeah, one of the other things I have written down is it feels like it adds life to the Mario universe as a whole.
Yeah, it feels very lived in.
Yeah.
Like this is like the reason they're coming together to save their world is because their world is actually worth saving, which you don't fully get to like understand the value of the Mushroom Kingdom in any other Mario game before this. It's like, this is a world overrun with monsters. Like maybe we should just move somewhere else.
Yeah, it's like, and it's interesting the way that, you get thrown into this game and you're like, oh, it's a Mario game. You know, you've been to Dino Land in Super Mario World, and you've been to the Mushroom Kingdom in Super Mario Brothers, and then you're kind of this. It starts off with you saving Princess Peach as per usual.
Yeah. I thought, I was like, are we doing this again?
Yeah.
But it was tricking you. It was subverting your expectations a la Ryan Johnson.
Yeah, and then stop. Don't even.
I thought I
don't
was
get
gonna
me
sneak
started.
that
I'm
in
trying
there.
to. I've got a train of thought going, and you're trying to derail me even more. But on your adventure, you encountered this like cauliflower-looking boy named Mallow.
I thought he was a big egg. Like, that's why I called him
Yeah.
Humpty Dumpty in the intro, because he just looks like an egg wearing pants.
And then he's like, I'm a tadpole. And you're like, what are you talking about?
You're not a tadpole.
You're not a
buddy.
tadpole. And then you meet, Frog Fuchsius or whatever. And it's like, you came down the river. And then, like, the point is, then you get to this entire species later on of these
Sentient cloud beings.
Yeah, well, I was trying to not spoil it, but yes, the Final Fantasy reference is there. It's an entire
what?
cloud. Never mind. Fun fact I didn't put in here: Cloud from Final Fantasy VII is actually named after Nimbus Land from Super Mario RPG.
Because they are clouds. Yeah, I'm sure that's why.
But anyways, the point, like,
And his last name Strife comes from the fact that in Super Mario RPG there was a lot of strife between the
yes.
good guys and the bad guys.
well, there actually is like kind of a Final Fantasy reference, sort of, in this game. Did you fight the secret boss?
Who's the secret boss?
All right, never mind. Did you get the shiny stone? No, of course you didn't.
I don't know. Maybe?
Did you buy the fireworks and never mind.
No.
All right.
That sounds complicated.
Yeah. Well, I know. Never mind.
Is this something you had to look up online, or that you accidentally?
No, I
figured out?
tripped into it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because I was like, oh, if you have to buy an item for 500 coins, fireworks, and this other person's like, if I had some fireworks, blah, 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 and then you go to this other shop in the same town, and they're like, want to buy some fireworks? Cool. They give me a shiny stone. I'm like, I can probably sell the shiny stone for more than the 500 that I paid. And then so I take the shiny stone to the shop, and I think it was worth like 2 coins. I was like,
oh no, that must be a key item. Don't sell that.
I was like, and so I think I was streaming at the time, because I streamed 4 or 5 times of my playthrough of this. And somebody, I think, was like, side quest. I'm like, okay.
Oh, see,
right.
you got some help.
So I'll hold on to the shiny stone that I'm really mad that I just spent a lot of my coins. Because I think I had like
That's a lot of
600
coins.
coins at the time.
Yeah, no, 500 is a lot at any point in this game, because you can only hold 999.
Yeah. And so later on, I get to Monstro Town.
Yeah.
Which is a town filled with reformed monsters.
Yeah.
Shout out to the MarioWiki.com, which helped me through this. It's like, gave me like a little blurb about every place, I think.
Oh, did you go up like to the dojo? Is that what this is?
Well, no, there's a door in there that you need the shiny stone to unlock, and then that door like takes you to another dimension where the boss will basically one-shot your entire party when you walk in.
Sounds fun.
But you can get a really good item from beating the boss. He just wiped me like 3 times. I was like, nope, we're good. I'm like, maybe I'll come back. Maybe I won't. Maybe I didn't. So I never beat the secret boss. We're still talking about the world. Anyway, so I guess the boss is some kind of a nod to Final Fantasy.
Okay.
I think his name is it's Culex. I don't know if it's Sulex or Kulex.
Oh. Kulex.
So I don't know, but apparently it's like a Final Fantasy kind of reference.
Yeah. So there's a lot of depth to the world.
So yes,
a lot of character in the world.
But one of the things that to try to tie a bow on the humor of this game, the animations in this game are surprisingly funny.
Yes.
The way that the game, I mean, it's an RPG, you get a lot of text boxes, but like the way that Mario, he's like jumping up and down, or like he's turning into different characters when he's telling a story to somebody, or like Bowser's crying, or
yes.
I found myself surprised at the level of animation storytelling in this that made me laugh.
Yep. I totally agree. That was the first thing on my list. It instantly made me be like, man, this game has a lot more than I expected, and it pulls you in.
Yeah. Jordan, next thing on my list is the equipment and item system isn't overly cumbersome. So in a lot of RPGs, you have, you've got like gloves and a helmet and a chest piece and weapons and a left-hand weapon and a right-hand weapon and boots.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
It's very, there's a lot of depth to how you can build your character.
You've got a weapon, some armor, and a held item.
Yeah. And it's a nice simplification where I get to the new town, I visit the shop, he's probably selling me a better piece of armor.
Yeah.
And I just equip it and I can sell the old one. And I really liked the fact that I didn't have to spend a bunch of time. Now, there are items in this game where you can spec out your characters, where one, you can buy an item with frog coins that gives you double XP. Yeah. Or you can have an item that gives a character plus 20 speed, or there's a bunch of stuff in here where the accessories can kind of do different things with your characters. But largely it's like weapon, armor, accessory. And I like that simplification because as somebody who's not like a big JRPG fan in general, it just felt good to me to not have to worry about that to enjoy this game.
Yeah, there's some games where like you're constantly like worried about like, do I have the best loadout? Do I have the best build for my characters? Yeah. Like, am I going to screw this whole thing up? I think that you can make it through this whole game regardless of what you do. Like, I kind of talked about that back when we did Knights of the Old Republic. Like, it doesn't really matter how you build your character out. Like, you're going to be able to make it through the game. And I did terribly, like, with the way that I use my stat points on my characters, and I still am going to be able to beat this game. So don't worry about it too much, but in replays, you'll have a whole lot of extra options. You'll be like, oh, what was this? What could I do differently?
Yeah. And another thing, Jordan, speaking of the simplicity of the item, well, I think simple is a good way of describing a lot of the things in this game. It's very much in the same, not in the same way, but in a similar feeling of like Pokemon introduced me to what an RPG was.
Yeah.
It was accessible. This kind of did something similar in a Mario kind of way.
Yeah.
So like the leveling system is simple in this, and I kind of like that because you always have 3 members in your party.
Yep.
You can swap them out how you want, but they're all getting XP. I like the global XP that if you want to just use Geno and then you don't want to use him and you want to use Bowser instead, like it's really cool that I don't have to worry about certain characters getting farther and farther behind because I haven't been using them.
Yes, that was genius. It makes this game so much more accessible. I love that call.
It's like, I like that.
So much less grindy when you do it that way.
Yeah. And another thing that I enjoy that's, again, like a very unique like RPG thing to me is the countering and boost system when you attack. It's like a lot of RPGs are pick an attack in a menu, like Pokemon is this.
Yeah.
Turn-based. This game actually has you engaged in the battles, which I like. If you press the button at the right time, then you're doing more damage. If you press the button when you're getting attacked, you'll defend and take less damage, sometimes 0 damage. And so it wasn't just like a text box fest where you're just mashing a button, doing an attack, waiting for the...
Yeah.
And I like that a lot because it helped me stay more engaged in the game.
I like that concept. I don't know that the way they executed it was perfect, and we can talk about that a little bit later, but I do like the concept.
Yeah. And I think, too, it's like it helps... So one of the things I was reading about the development on the Wikipedia page was they tried to take the more action-oriented Mario game mechanics that were typical and sort of make an RPG out of them.
Yeah.
And while a normal RPG is going to have like an attack range of like your attack is, let's say 50. So when you do an attack based on this person's defense and their resistances, you're doing a range of damage. Let's call it 30 to 35 damage or whatever.
Okay.
You do a command and it rolls your damage.
Yep.
In this game, actually not timing your attacks and boosting them right or not defending right means that there are more consequences to staying engaged. And I really like the fact that it's not just a more idle style of RPG, but the fact that they did, I think, succeed in bringing that sort of more action-focused gameplay to this in a really interesting way.
Yep, I love the concept. I originally had as my next point that the game doesn't feel overly tedious, and towards the end of the game, I had to go and change this to say that most of the game doesn't feel overly tedious. My big problem with most RPGs is the requirement to constantly like check a Wikipedia page or a guide to get the most out of the game, because I don't want to like feel like I'm missing out on something, or that I'm using the wrong weapons or using my stats wrong. I only had to look up things a couple of times in this game, which is great. It has pretty generous save points. Obviously, it'd be better if you could save at any point, but just knowing this is a Super Nintendo game, they are pretty generous with the save points. I think that there was a few times in the game where it was like, you need to backtrack and go see this person. And I was like, oh my goodness, I meant to go all the way back. And at one point, like the first time you have to like really backtrack, they show you like, oh, this is an overworld map where you can just like fast travel by having Mario like walk across the overworld map. And I was like, oh, that was nice.
Yeah.
There's another point where you have to like kind of platform across this bridge. And if you fall off, usually you'd have to like go and do a whole bunch of backtracking to get back up to the top where you fell off. And there was just a little like blue mage guy there who was like, jump on my head and I'll carry you back up. And I was like, oh, I was prepared to be really annoyed about having to backtrack. And they kind of took some of that like tediousness or like annoying little things out by helping you out and like, I don't know, just being kind to the player. And I really appreciated that. Yeah,
for sure. And I think that that's something maybe that's, I don't know for a fact or not, but like Miyamoto, I feel like he does that with a lot of his games of like, or it's a Nintendo thing of like, how do we make this, how is player enjoyment the most important thing?
Yeah, you don't want to hold somebody's hand to the point where it's not fun, but you also don't want to like have it so punishing that it's like, this isn't fun.
Yeah, because there were definitely moments, I don't know. Well, there was like one spot where I was like trying to jump across this donut bridge or whatever, and you get frog coins if you do it perfectly, and I was like, no.
Same. That's exactly that's the same spot I'm talking about, where if you fall off, there's a guy who'll carry you up.
I just reloaded a save state. I was like, nope, I'm not doing this.
Oh, see, there's a little blue guy there at the bottom of the cliff who will just carry you back up to the top.
Yeah. Well, that thing, we'll get into something else a little bit later about that whole thing, but largely yes, when in this game you're not having to do a whole lot of tedious backtracking. I also have the overworld map written down as something that the game does well. It feels when you do have to backtrack, it doesn't feel bad because of this overworld map.
Yeah,
and I really like that.
Not like my experience with Final Fantasy VII, where it's like I need to go to the exact opposite end of the world to do my next thing, and it's going to take me 40 minutes to get there.
Right. One of the things I have written down, this is not necessarily specifically the mini games. I like that there are mini games here to shake it up a bit. So you have like a waterfall like mini game, and then you have like the running up the hill after booster mini game, and like the Yoshi like double XP, double coins kind of shuffling mini game.
Minecart.
That, oh man, the minecart. I forgot about the minecart.
Yeah.
I like that the game has mini games to shake things up.
Okay. Can't agree with you there, but you know.
Well, you said the game is tedious, right? And so
those were some of the weakest parts of the game for me.
Some of the things that I think reduce tedium in games can be them just like shifting it out.
The little Yoshi raffle thing, the slot machine, or like find out which egg Yoshi is in and double your coins or double your experience points. I liked that. The other mini games felt like a waste of time on the developer's part because
you didn't like Yoshi racing?
No, that was truly like, for some reason, all of these RPGs insist on putting in racing. In Knights of the Old Republic, we had the speeder bike races.
Yeah.
In Final Fantasy VII, there was the chocobo racing. And then in this game, we have the Yoshi racing. And in each of those games, like, those are the things I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do your, like, poorly... Like, if this was a game on its own, nobody would play it. Which is how you know that, like, it shouldn't be in there. The Yoshi thing, I think, is the worst of those three.
Yeah.
Like, if I had to order them, like, the speeder bike racing was the best, and then chocobo racing was fine, and then Yoshi was just terrible, because there's the tutorial that teaches you how to do the Yoshi race teaches you completely wrong. And if you do what the tutorial says, you will never, ever win the race. I had to go online and look up, like, how to actually do it, and even watching the video that tells you how to do it, it was frustrating and difficult.
Goodness. Yeah, the Yoshi racing was probably one of the worst things about
The
this
good
game.
news is you can skip Yoshi Island completely.
Yeah.
And you don't ever even have to do it, so it's not a big deal. But at that time, I didn't know that. I didn't realize this was an extra thing. I thought I had to do that.
Well, even Yoshi, and I mean, I could have been doing it wrong. There's a lot here that I didn't like necessarily fully wrap my head around, but like it was like, oh, you get Yoshi cookies, and then every time I would like use one in battle, Yoshi would pop out, and then he would just give me an item that would heal 100 health.
Because you probably tried to use them against bosses.
Well, yeah, because I'm like, a lot of the items, well, we'll talk about this in a little bit, but a lot of the items in my menu, I was like, what is this for? Oh, let me test out the Yoshi thing. Oh, it's just giving me health. But like, I think I tried it like 3 times and it was the same thing every time. So.
If you use it against like a smaller enemy, he just comes out and eats the enemy and it's like a one-hit KO.
Yeah.
But I don't think he works against mini bosses or bosses, and that when you use him against those, then he just gives you an enemy.
Because then I think later on I read like, oh, he consumes an enemy. So I think I tried to, maybe it was just the wrong enemy. I don't think it was a mini boss or something, but for some reason,
I don't know.
I think even against one of the regular enemies, it didn't work. So I don't know. But I like the fact that that again, it's just there's this game. I think it just adds something that decreases the tedium and boredom of this game overall.
That's fine. You do you.
I do. I always do. Thank
You
you.
only have to do each of them like one time, and then you don't ever have to go back if you don't want to.
Yeah. And then lastly, I don't know if you'll agree with this. You probably won't because of your previous point, but I don't feel like the game overstayed its welcome.
Oh.
I think I put about 19 hours. The howlongtobeat.com time said 19 hours. And I think that's about what it took me to beat this one. So
I'd say for like the first half of this game, I was like, oh yeah, I want to go play some more of that. Once I hit like Nimbus Land,
yeah,
it was a struggle for me to like want to keep coming back to the game because it got very tedious at that point, especially the last 25% of the game. It wasn't fun, and I wanted it to be over.
It's really interesting that you say that because as I was noticing, because I was on some YouTube video. It's like I don't remember what the channel was. I'll put the link in the description of the podcast, but I was gauging how much time I had left of the game by this full playthrough that I was looking at on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I had 5 stars, and like there's 7 stars to get in this game, and it's like the 6th and 7th stars take pretty much as much time as the first 5 stars.
The first 5 stars were awesome.
Yeah.
The pace was really good.
Yeah.
Everything about it was amazing. Like play the first 5 stars and then just like, that could have been the game for me. And then you get to the last 2 stars and it's like, wow, you're right. It almost is maybe it is as long as the rest of the game. And it, to me, like you lost that sense of pacing and that like reward cycle that I was appreciating. Yeah. And so it did get a little tedious. Still a great game, still a lot of fun. I just often in RPGs or JRPGs specifically struggle with like wanting to like complete it, and I didn't have that feeling until the last 25% of this game. It
feels to me like maybe there was a shift in development, like, oh, we're gonna need more game than what we've got up to this point.
Yeah, it was already like the longest Mario game ever made. So
well, but I'm just saying, like maybe they knocked out those first 5 stars in development, and then Nintendo was like, we're gonna need this game to be longer than 8 hours.
Yeah,
and so maybe they were like, we need to figure out a way to slow down the pacing of this game, or throw a bunch of extra mini bosses in. Or
that's an understatement. We've talked about boss gauntlets in games before. I've never seen something like this game, where literally the last 2 levels are the most intense and longest boss gauntlet I've ever seen.
Yeah,
and you can skip some of it if you like are good with platforming and are lucky, but there's a lot of it that is completely unavoidable.
Yeah, they're like you're going through Bowser's castle, and there's like 6 doors, and they're like, you have to beat 4 of these, and 2 of the doors are like platforming segments, and 2 of them are like puzzle segments, and 2 of them are like these like 20 to 30 minute long just strings of enemy fights, which aren't that bad.
No, those were the easy ones. I'm glad I got 2 of those.
But it's 4. Still like, we're gonna give you 3 hallways, and you're gonna have to fight like 4 or 5 enemies in each hallway. That you can't, like most of the enemies, and another thing that this game does well that I forgot till just now, is there aren't random encounters.
Yeah.
The enemies are all in the overworld, so you can
try to avoid them if you want.
Yeah. But in these hallways in Bowser's castle, you can't. It forces you into these fights, so they take, you know, whatever, 20 to 30 minutes.
It's fine. Those were my least, or those were my favorite part of that segment. Like the puzzles.
They were okay.
My brain was not in puzzle mode.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden it was like, oh, puzzles. I gotta figure out puzzles.
Yeah. Well, a couple of the puzzles were pretty simple, but then
some of them were tough.
Did you play the one where you have to like kick the balls over the other ones?
Yeah.
Because that one was like, I don't know. I don't feel
I've been to Cracker Barrel enough that was that was pretty easy. Have you ever been to Cracker Barrel and they have the little thing where you jump in the pegs?
Yes, I've played that. It's been
so basically the same concept.
It's been like 2 decades.
Yeah, and then there was the like jumping, the button jumping one was the harder one for me. I eventually just got it by randomly jumping around, but
I got it by randomly jumping around, but it didn't take me very long.
Oh, I don't know. I need to.
Fair enough. But overall, I didn't have that sense at the end of this game, for the most part, where I'm like, I mean, I was excited to finish it. I definitely think the last few hours felt longer than they maybe needed to.
Yeah.
But overall, I didn't feel like completely over and done with this game and I'm sick of it and ready to move on. It was like, oh, yeah. All right.
I think it was partially because my poor stat choices early in the game came back to bite me.
Yeah.
I think it was partially because I thought that the giant sword was Smithy. The game makes you think that the giant sword is Smithy. You never even see him, I don't think, until later in the game. So I beat the giant sword and I was like, yes, game over, I win. And it's like, no, you still have another hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay. I think part of it was the fact that I thought I was done.
Yeah.
And then you immediately go into the most tedious part of the game after that. And so that was probably part of it. I did have a really good time with this game. I don't want to like make it seem like this isn't a fun game or a good game. It could partially have been because I was trying to rush, but I also just like didn't feel that urge to like, if we weren't playing it for the podcast, I would have struggled to finish it because I didn't have that urge. Like I got to go and finish it.
I get this text yesterday from Jordan. He's like, I one-shotted Smithy. And it, like, Gino did like 9,999 damage.
I don't know what happened.
I was like, what are you talking about?
So he's got this one attack. It's like shoots out like a yellow ring.
Okay.
And I was always really bad at timing it. And somehow I timed it right. And it did 9,999 damage.
Wow.
And it just killed the sword. And like, I had to like hit him with Mario and Peach a couple times. But then that one 9,999 hit just like killed him. I was like, wow, I just one shot the final boss. And Dan's like, that's not the final boss.
Yeah, that's like, it's gonna be a minute. But yeah, I didn't use Gino, so I wasn't familiar. I used Mario, Bowser, and Peach pretty much the entire time.
I never had that happen again. That attack usually did like 40 damage, so I have no clue what happened.
Yeah. Jordan, that exhausts my list.
Same.
Of what this game did.
Same, and we even covered one of my what the game doesn't do well. So we can just move on to that section and see what else we have to say. First thing that I have to point out that the game doesn't do so well is the isometric view in this game makes it look really cool. Yeah. It gives you that cool 3D effect. It looks very different from other Mario games, but they insisted on putting platforming in this game because Mario's a platformer, and the isometric view makes platforming really hard. Yeah, I would argue, my opinion, the platforming is actually the worst part of this entire game. Yeah. And I think it's a lot to do with that isometric view. Yeah. 100%. It's hard to line stuff up. There's often if you get your finger on the D-pad and you get that like perfect diagonal, you can like just like keep jumping across platforms, but like so often the tiny bit of pressure and now you're going right or you're going up and you're not doing that diagonal anymore and then you're landing in the pit. Thankfully you don't have like lives and so it's not like killing you, but you just have to keep doing platforming sections over and over and over again. Yeah. It gets in the way. It was frustrating. Yeah. It's just I want to be moving through this game and the platforming is holding me back. Like on the way to Nimbus Land, there's like
an alternate path that you can go up with these vines, and you can kind of judge it by the shadows. They're floating in the air, but I had like a really hard time with these vines because I was like, oh, there's a frog coin over here, and oh, there's this other section. There's clearly something over here that I should be checking out.
Yeah.
So I tried to go the hard route, and it took me like over 20 minutes to get up this platforming. I think it was 2 screens of these vines that I spent over 20 minutes trying to platform, and it outright made me vindictive, which is why I spent so much time instead of just moving on to the easy route. I was like, no, I'm doing this.
See,
I put this in this game. I'm doing it.
I saw you or heard about you doing that, and I just avoided it altogether. I was like, I'm just going to take the easy route.
Yeah, and then when I sent you a text, I was like, hey, if you go the alternate route, you get these like whatever, you get an item that like boosts your defense, you get like some flower tabs or something. And,
wasn't worth it.
No. Although I think I did have the so I didn't get the lazy shell for Mario and Peach in this game. So I think it's like a rare scarf or something, I think is what it's called, and it boosts your defense.
Okay.
So for the final boss fight, what I ended up doing was, I think, putting that item on Peach and then giving her one of the stat boosting items that you can use, the magic items or whatever.
Nice.
Which is like one fight you get a boost. So she had like pretty high defense.
Yeah.
So I think it was worth it for me, but I don't know if it's worth it in the long run.
No,
because the lazy shell is going to be probably the way to go if you want to play this game.
I looked up how to get the lazy shell, and Peach was only taking like 1 damage from physical attacks, sometimes 0, and most of the time 0 from magic attacks.
Well, against the final boss, because there was a save file on my cartridge. I started a clean save file, but the previous owner of my cartridge had like a level 27 save with a bunch of like really good items in the lazy shell and Mario and Peach. And so I was like, all right, well, let me load it up to see what the smithy fight is like with the lazy shell. It definitely went faster, but even like the most intense attacks from the final boss were doing like 25 damage to Peach.
Which is like nothing.
Nothing. But usually they were doing like 1 to 3 or 4.
Yep.
So if you're playing this game, the lazy shell, I think it's called the lazy shell just because it really is, it takes most of the challenge out of the entire game. The platforming, anyways. The platforming is probably the worst part of this game, and it's just feels like, yes, it's a late Super Nintendo game. Yes, it's a Mario game, but I feel like they should. And there were spots in this game where they sort of limited the range of motion that you had on platforms.
Like specifically in that puzzle where you're kicking the ball, they made it so you could only kick it at perfect diagonals, which was nice. And they could have done that more in the game. Yeah,
they should have just locked people onto certain platforms. And they even do it on like some of the donut platform bridges, where it's like you can't move any direction. You're just hitting the jump button and sort of the direction you're trying to go, and it just puts you on the next platform.
Yep.
And I would have really liked them to lock you to the platform a little more often.
Yeah.
Now, granted, they put like hidden chests and other stuff to sort of incentivize platforming in certain areas.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it just felt bad. Like the vine thing is like, why did you guys make this hard? Like you could have made it challenging, but you should have like just moved it like a few pixels closer to me, or like made the angle like more extreme so that I can, cause it's like everything looks like it's on a flat plane. It's isometric, but the thing looks like it's directly to the left of you, but it's in front of you.
Yeah.
So it's like it's hard to gauge some of the jumping that you need to do.
I think if the whole game was platforming, you would have got used to it. But since that platforming only came up like, once every hour and a half, it's like you had to figure it out again each time.
But definitely the least fun I probably had was the platforming segments of this game.
Yep.
Another thing that I have that this game didn't do particularly well, lack of information during battles, specifically of like, I'm looking through my items. I don't know what this thing does.
Yeah, when you're in like normal, when you're not in a battle and you go into your menu, it'll tell you what all the items do, but in the battle, it doesn't tell you.
Yeah, and like the status effects can be kind of cryptic. It's like mute or like scarecrow. I'm like, what does this thing do again? And it doesn't happen often enough that, now at the end of the game, I kind of grasp it, but it's like fear, mute, scarecrow, fungus.
Yeah.
It's like the weird, I'm like, what is this? What am I all okay? You just mushroomed my entire party. Am I getting over this? How do I get attacks? It's like it didn't happen often enough for me to quite remember what was going on.
Yep.
And then to fix status effects, you have an item called Able Juice or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you have like mid mushrooms and max mushrooms. And then when you're in the middle of a battle, like outside a battle, you can check and it'll kind of, some of the stuff tells you what it does. Some of it's like,
all of it tells you outside of the battle.
it's a mushroom, but wilted. Like, that's not that helpful. Or like, it's just shiny stone. It's got like a glimmer to it. Or like,
Yeah, some of them, they want to be more cryptic because
Yeah.
it's like for a side quest or whatever. But it would be nice in the battle to know what stuff does. It would be nice to know how much HP enemies have.
Yeah. And I don't know if this was like a trope of the time where you had to have a spellcaster tell you what was going on. I mean, sure, like realism, quote unquote, where it's like,
Yeah,
you need to have a spellcaster tell you.
Mallow can use Psychopath,
Yeah,
which makes
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, use a move called Psychopath, which you would think like, oh, he's gonna go crazy on these people. No, he just tells you how much HP they have, and if you time it perfectly, he'll give you a funny quote.
Yeah. Well, and like when I was first using Psychopath, I was like, did I just heal the enemy? Like I could, it just, I don't know.
Yeah,
And
it's
granted,
confusing.
like you can use, I think the manual has what all the moves do. And like, basically I have written down, like have a wiki handy when you're playing this game, because there's going to be a lot of times where you're like, huh? Like
Yeah.
the amulet is an accessory. Smells bad. Great item. Thanks.
Yeah.
Or like one of the other things that I kind of have is that when you're trying to equip new items, there's not like a really good comparison.
Yeah, you have to like put the item on, see what it did, then go back and put the other one on and see. Like it doesn't tell you the
There's
difference.
arrows that'll tell you, but it's like it's kind of awkward. Or like when you're at a shop, like if you're backtracking throughout the world and you don't know if a shop is selling you something better, like you found like an ultra hammer or something in the middle of like, I don't know, Booster's Tower or something.
Yep.
And then you go and you find a shop that's maybe selling something called a masher or something. It's just, you don't know if the item that you're about to spend 100 coins or whatever, 90 coins on is actually better than the thing that you found in the secret area.
You have to buy it.
Yeah. And so it's like there's this sense of this lack of enough information.
It's like little quality of life features
Yeah.
that modern RPGs have that you're missing here.
So
because it's an older RPG.
From a modern perspective, it can lead to some frustration.
Yeah.
Just not, I mean, I'm not a huge JRPG fan. So a lot of people probably playing this at the time are just like, yeah, it's fine. Or like people who are into JRPGs now are probably like, it's fine, get over it. But as somebody who isn't deep into this genre, like that stuff is important to me to have more enjoyment of the game.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I think something that goes along with that, it's like talking about the frustration that you have in battle. I think the whole battle system needs, like, I love the idea of it. We talked about the good stuff about it and the good concepts that it has, but I think that there are some things they just missed the mark on. First of all, you use A, B, X, and Y to choose if you want to do defense, attack, magic, or item. And then when you open up those menus, you have a whole bunch of options, and then you select something by hitting that same button again. So X is item, and then you can scroll through your item list, and to choose an item, you hit X again, which is a little bit counterintuitive because in every other game and in every other part of this game, A selects and B cancels. And so there were so many times when I was in a fight and I went to select my magic attack or select an item and I hit A, and then I was attacking. Just like because A is the attack button, or B to go back, and all of a sudden I'm defending, and it's like, oh man, I didn't mean to do that. And even at the end of this game, after playing for hours, I was still making that mistake. Yeah,
there is a lot of like, oh man, I didn't mean to do that. And I got over it at the end. I was like, is this something the game does or doesn't do well? Like, is this a valid criticism that it's kind of awkward that the spell button to open the spell menu to choose the spell, you have to hit the same. It's like it's nitpicking, and it's not like game breaking. No. It doesn't ruin the game, but it's one of those things where you're gonna press a button and you're gonna be frustrated. Similarly,
I like the fact that they added the action stuff in there. Like they wanted to not just have it be text box battles. And so I like that you have to get the timing right and it does more damage or you have better defense or whatever. But I wish that they gave you some sort of indicator to know when. Yeah. Because there's so many different weapons. They each have different moments you have to press the button. There's so many different enemy attacks and it's different timing. It's like, when do I hit the defend button? When do I hit the attack button? Like some sort of indicator, or even maybe you don't get that unless you have an item equipped or something. Like some way to let me know when do I press the button, because there's some attacks that were really cool, but I never figured out when to hit the button. And so I didn't get to fully appreciate them.
If there is feedback on when you get a boost or a proper timing,
there's a noise.
It's not overt enough.
There's a noise when you get it correct. But you already know you got it correct because you're going to do more damage or take less damage.
Yeah, I don't know. But it needs to be more obvious than it is in this game. Like Peach has a revive spell called Come Back or whatever. And it's like this rainbow star floats from the sky slowly. It's this big, long animation. And then the character, there's like some effects and this whole thing. And if you time it right, the character comes back with like, I think full health. But if you don't, it's like they get half health or something like that.
Yep.
Which is pretty important when you're in a giant, long boss fight.
Yep.
That's like basically doing over half of your health damage per attack. So
some of them are pretty easy. It's like right when you kick the shell, that's when you hit it. But on like one of those ones with the long animations, I have no clue when to hit the button.
So I'm just timing my button press with the music. I'm like playing the beat and I'm like hoping for the best.
Yep.
And half the time Bowser's coming back with 90 health and he's going to get knocked out again next turn. It's just like, oh man, this feedback system. And I think they do improve it in later Mario RPGs. But in this one, it's like, I wish that there was more obvious feedback for the player.
Yep. Again, not game breaking, just one of those little frustrating things that could have been better.
Yeah. Another thing, speaking of frustrating, could have been better, running away in this game.
See, that's not something that I do in RPGs. I know you love to run away, but I usually just fight everything.
Well, that's why you got stuck and didn't end up finishing the game, is because you don't know how to run away
Probably.
when you're supposed to. But one of the things that I think it was only once that it like outright irritated me. When you run away, the enemy is still on the map.
Oh,
and they flicker for a second, and you can get away from them. But I was in like a hallway where I couldn't get away from this like dry bones thing.
You had to fight it.
And it like, for whatever reason, I really didn't want to do the fight. And it like re-engaged me in the fight like, I don't know, 4 times or something, 5 times. I'm like, I'm fuming because I just want to run away from this fight.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was like, I don't know if I had a reason, like, oh, my party needs to heal or like something, or I'm trying to get out of this. I'm trying to skip this fight altogether. But the fact that sometimes it throws you back into fights is a little bit frustrating. Could be better. It's like, at least give me like another 2 seconds of this enemy not re-engaging me. Just felt like a little bit too quick, which is, it's just a me thing, you know. It's if you're a fan of running away from battles in RPGs.
It's a me thing.
Another thing, Jordan, very limited inventory space. As somebody who is not super well versed in JRPGs, I'm like loading up my inventory with like maple syrup and mushrooms.
Whenever you're going into battle, you need to make sure you have a good supply of maple syrup.
The maple syrup restores 40 flower points.
Yeah, obviously. And flower points are how you use magic. This is just basic fantasy magic system.
So flower points are actually at a premium in this game because your entire party shares a mana pool, basically. And then on top of that, your attacks, your best attacks will take like 11 to 15 or 14 or 16 flower points. I maxed out with, I think, 73. The level 27 file that I was playing had like 89 flower points.
Yeah.
So 15 or 16 flower points is a lot. You're going to be consuming a lot of magic in this game. So I always wanted to have a bunch of items in my inventory to make sure I could stock up.
Yep.
Plus healing items, plus you need status effect items. Hey, if Peach gets knocked out, I don't have my group heal to kill status effects, so I might want to have an able juice or freshen up to do the party. Like,
see, I didn't really have that issue. I exclusively carried the syrups for more flower points, and I carried the thing that revived you and brought you to full health.
A pick-me-up.
A pick-me-up, thank you. Those are the only two that I had, and the only two I really needed. And so I never really had a problem with the inventory. I often just sold all my extra stuff to get more coins, so maybe that was just the way we played it a little bit differently.
Well, see, I was holding on to a couple pure waters for a while, because they get rid of ghosts instantly. And maybe a firebomb, like it's just like that kind of stuff. Because sometimes when you finish a battle, you get an item out of the battle, which is great. I'm like, okay, I have this thing that instantly vanishes, a ghost. Am I going to need this later? Am I going to need this later? Am I going to need this later? And a lot of like, oh, I've got a Yoshi cookie or two. Like, am I going to need, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I hung on to, or the seed, which you need to get the lazy shell, or the shiny stone, which you need to fight the secret boss. Like that stuff takes up inventory slots, and you only get 2 pages of inventory slots.
Yep. So
I would have liked to see at least an item or something that you could buy to allow me to just have a little bit more, because I never knew how many, because of some of the boss gauntlets and some of the way that the game goes, like you don't necessarily know that you're going to have the opportunity to heal or refill your magic, or like, so when you're going out preparing for a quest or whatever, and you're at the shop, you don't necessarily know if you're going to need to have 5 maple syrups in your bag.
Yeah. I know.
So the inventory space was something I found a little bit frustrating, especially like the end of the game is like a bunch of boss gauntlets.
Oh yeah.
And so it's like, I think they refill your health and magic
after you beat a boss.
But the boss fights
fills
take a
you
while.
back up.
Yeah. And one of the things I actually noticed too, which I didn't put together until Smithy, was sometimes get a freebie will pop up.
Yeah. Get a freebie. If you use an item and you time it right, it doesn't consume that item and it stays in your inventory. That's what get a freebie.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then there's also once more, which lets you attack again if you timed something correctly. Or maybe that might just be completely random.
Well, I think when you knock out an enemy, sometimes they'll spit out an attack up, a defense up, a lucky, which is how you get the double XP.
Yep.
Or once more. But I didn't know that how the get a freebie thing worked.
I had to Google it because I was like, what is get a freebie? And it's awesome when you have like 1 royal syrup left and it doesn't consume it. It's like, I got a freebie.
Well, I was using royal syrup fully fills your magic points back up. I got like 3 get a freebies with royal syrup. And I was like, oh, I'm at the final boss. They're just being generous and making sure I don't run out of mana. But if there's a timing thing, that's cool too.
I don't know if there's a timing thing, but get a freebie is just, it's not consuming your item.
And Jordan, last thing on my list, speaking of boss fights, this may be a JRPG thing. I don't know. I'm not super deep in the genre, but man, some of the boss fights feel long and tedious in this game.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is like, there are definitely correct ways to fight bosses and there's wrong ways. And you have to find out like, oh, this one you need to use magic, or you need to only attack this guy. Like if there's multiple, bosses, like sometimes you only have like, you get to the end and there's like a jester, like a magician kind of guy, and like a pirate. Yeah. And I realized you don't ever have to hit the pirate. Just fight the magician, because as soon as you kill the magician, the pirate runs away. Then he goes and jumps on the snake. Don't even bother fighting the pirate. Fight the snake, because he's like a coward. So if you know what to do, or if you accidentally figure out what to do, awesome. But you can stumble into like attacking. There's like the dry bones turtle thingies.
Oh man.
Where you can just physically attack them 1,000,000 times and they never die. Yeah. You hit them with 1 magic spell and they're dead. It's like, so it's a kind of like wanting you to figure out the optimum strategy. Yeah. But that often leads to way longer battles than they need to be, because you're like problem solving while you're fighting. Yeah. It's just like, it's like the Smithy fight was like, this feels like it's taking forever. Yeah. And then apparently I had him at like really low health a couple times, and then it wiped my party. Nice. And like, it was one of those things where he does an attack that takes over like half of my health. Yeah. And then Mario is attacking or whatever, and Peach hasn't had a shot to like heal yet.
Heal the party, which is kind of how so many of these battles went, is like, take a lot of damage, attack with Mario, attack with Bowser, heal with Peach. Take a lot of damage, attack with Mario, attack with Bowser, heal with Peach.
Yep.
That was the cadence of my experience with this game. And so right before the end of the game, Smithy was like, wiped out most of my health. I got one attack, and then he did the same attack and wiped my party.
Sweet.
At which point I was like, save states. I'm not, because this is during the second phase, and he must have had like 10% of his health left at this point.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
If only you had Mallow in your party, you could have known how much health you had left.
Forget Mallow. Forget Gino. I'm all about Mario. This is Mario RPG.
That's fair.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, and I remember like the same thing with Sephiroth in Final Fantasy VII, where it's like, why is this fight so long? Why is this ridiculous? Like, I don't want to play another 40-minute boss fight. It just feels bad.
When I watched the Smithy fight on YouTube, and this was somebody who had played the game in like 10 hours, so they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
That fight alone was almost a half hour. It was like 25 minutes long.
Yeah. And well, after I had a couple of experiences with it, because the last phase of Smithy has like a body and a head. Like, you don't even need to attack the body. But if you attack the body, it's like he can't move. And I'm like, what does that even do? After a while, I realized like, no, I'm just not even gonna attack the body. And then the fight went faster. And then I tried to do the fight again with the level 27 characters. I was like, oh yeah, this went way faster. First try, easy.
You were under leveled.
Easy.
Classic Dan move.
I wasn't under leveled. I think I was appropriately leveled. I was 20. Level 20 when I fought the boss fight.
Oh, see, I'm a little bit, I haven't even gotten there. And I'm like, all my guys are like 21, 22.
Oh, well, whatever. That's still like,
That's because you run away from fights. It's because you run away from fights.
I probably ran away from like 5%.
You
of the fights in
are,
this, but I did avoid a bunch, so I didn't even have to run away from the ones I avoided.
I think the consensus on the internet is that you are the Sir Robin of retro video gaming.
Sir Robin.
You ran away.
I mean, Jordan, if we're going to play these RPGs for this show, we have to compress the time.
I know, but sometimes in your attempt to compress it, you made it longer because the boss fights were harder because you were under-leveled.
Says the guy who beat the game.
Well, that's a fair point. All right. I'll take that into consideration.
Maybe if you would have ran away from, I don't know, 5% of your fights, Jordan, you would have had another couple hours to actually finish the fight on Smithy.
I'm good. I'm good.
You good?
Yeah.
He did get to the factory.
I did.
He did. He got to the last area of the game, but
there was 3 mini bosses and the main boss left. And 3 mini bosses might sound like a lot, but I had already defeated, I wrote down on my notes, 9 million mini bosses.
Oh,
so really 3 is not much.
You had 3 mini bosses, and then you were headed to the inside of the factory where you would fight another 3 or 4 waves of mini bosses.
No.
And then you would fight Smithy.
Based on the YouTube, I had done everything except for 3 mini bosses and Smithy.
Okay. So you got to like the actual conveyor belts?
Yeah.
You just didn't walk up the conveyor belts and
no, there was the 3
you didn't fight the foremans or whatever?
The 3 knight guys, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's it.
You didn't fight Shovel Knight 1, 2, and 3?
Exactly. That's what they looked like.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they didn't look like Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight looked like them.
No, they look like Shovel Knight. I think Shovel Knight inspired Super Mario RPG.
Good point. I always forget that.
If you look at, so Shovel Knight is heavily inspired by Mega Man. And
Mega Man, as actually, we were in the studio getting set up in here, and Dan's son came in. I was asking him about all the different characters. It's mostly Ninja Turtles. Dan's office is like 99% Ninja Turtles.
It's absolutely
But there's
not.
this one tiny little
Fair
Mega
enough.
Man sticker on the wall, and he called him Sonic. And I didn't realize until today that Sonic was actually inspired by, Mega Man was inspired by Sonic.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Mega Man and Sonic are incredibly similar. You play both games extraordinarily fast.
They're both blue.
Yep. They both shoot.
They both have red shoes.
This is funny. They both shoot peanuts. I was sometimes my son, who's very young, will go. My wife will take him downstairs into the Dan cave.
Yeah,
and he likes to play with my arcade 1-up Ninja Turtles,
of course.
And so he doesn't really know what's going on, but he just has a good time like moving the character. And so sometimes my wife will play like a few levels with him.
Yeah.
But so Rocksteady is the first boss.
Yep.
In the Ninja Turtles game, the 89. And he has like a machine gun. And my wife told my son he's shooting peanuts.
Yeah.
So he's like, watch out for those peanuts kind of a thing. It's very funny.
Because Rocksteady is an elephant, and elephants notoriously
Rocksteady the
peanuts.
elephant. Yeah. And Bebop the cat. and Mega Man the Hedgehog.
Obviously.
The Sandhog.
I'm glad that we're on the same page here.
The Chanhog.
Anyways, 3 mini bosses left. That's why we got here.
It's too many.
It was too many mini bosses. Too many bosses.
It's too many. All right, my friend. You got anything else?
That's it.
All right, let's move on to the rest of our show. So, Jordan, what would you pay for the experience that you had with Super Mario RPG, Super Mario role-playing game?
Yeah, this was my first experience with it. I did have a good time for the vast majority of this game. I'm glad I played it. This one, it looks super cool. It's got, like we said, it has a ton of character. I think that this, like, if I was a collector, this is one I'd want to have in a collection.
Okay.
So, like, me as in like person who doesn't collect any, I'm like slightly bummed that it's not on the Nintendo Entertainment, what's it called, Switch Online service thing. It's not on the Nintendo Entertainment System. It's also not on the Nintendo Switch Online service, which is strange.
Hopefully
and a bummer.
soon.
Yeah, hopefully. So like that would be my ideal thing if it would come to that.
Yeah.
But like if I was a collector and I was trying to add this to my collection, I think like man, I don't know. This is so hard because like,
where's that gut telling you?
Like $15.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not mad about that.
Like I almost said 20, but I'm like, no, no.
So this one has been sitting in my gut around $40 personally.
That sounds right for you.
That sounds like the scale, the Jordan to Dan scale. You're paying what, $13 more than you pay for everything else, which is what percentage? Like a 700% increase or something. So if I would pay 700% more than 15, that'd be 40.
Yeah, that sounds like good math to me.
That's basic physics. So yeah, $40. I had a great time with this game. I think it's hilarious. I think it was, man, there's something about Nintendo just has a way of, I don't want to say improving things, but bringing a level of fun to things that may not necessarily be there for a larger audience. Sports games, racing games. This is what Nintendo does, is they find the best parts of something and they bring it to a wider audience.
And they often do it by bringing in somebody like we talked about earlier who knows how to do it. Yeah. So like genius move in bringing Square in on this.
Yeah.
Would I have liked this game more if it was just like purely Mario and like you take out like the Gino and Mallow and like the characters who aren't part of Mario lore that we never see again? Maybe, but like the trade-off of having Square make this game totally worth it. Yeah. You see them do this with I know that it's not completely Nintendo, but Pokemon, similar thing, like taking RPG, a thing that kids should not like or be obsessed with, and making it an obsession.
Making animals fight.
You take like Magic the Gathering, them having Wizards of the Coast make the Pokemon trading card game. Yeah. Genius move. It's like these guys know how to do a card game. Let's make it super accessible for kids. Even like recently, like we talked about the Mario and Rabbids Kingdom battle, the Ubisoft game, like getting them to make that. Or it's like, man, Nintendo hasn't been able to make a good Star Fox game in ages. Let's let Ubisoft throw Star Fox in a good shooter of their own. So, I think Nintendo has a knack for knowing when to bring other people in and when to take something that's overly complicated and simplify it for the masses.
Yeah, one of the things that as many conversations as we've had over the years about me critiquing Nintendo on various aspects of their
I would love to hear you say
business models, one of the things you won't hardly ever hear me throw stones at Nintendo about is the quality of their games. Yeah. Nintendo just has a way of making phenomenal games, whatever that means. That means getting Square involved. It means getting Ubisoft involved, whatever. And you have that here. A good solid foundation of an RPG, and then Paper Mario I think is pretty well loved on the whole for the most part.
Well, maybe we'll find out when it comes to Switch Online service.
Maybe. Oh, is it coming? Is that coming to the N64?
I thought that was one of the ones that was listed.
I think so. I think you're right, but I'm just talking about the franchise as a whole. And then the Mario and Luigi, handheld games, stuff like that. So that's a very long way of saying $40 of fun is about what I probably had on this one. And I think that's about what I paid for this a few years ago.
Wow.
Maybe
spoiler alert.
4 to 5 years ago, I paid about $40-ish. It might have been like, oh, it's my birthday, or like, oh, it's a holiday that I'm going to find an excuse that this game is here.
Birthday.
But maybe it wasn't. Maybe I just wanted it. So Jordan, what do you think that this game is going for?
Real quick, before we do that, Paper Mario is confirmed to be a post-launch game coming to Nintendo Switch Online service. So not in the first batch, but in the second wave.
Okay.
Or an initial wave, a subsequent wave.
Okay.
I would say, I think this game, so it's got to be more than 40. If you paid 45 years ago for it, judging by the way that games have gone up in the last few years, I'm going to say that it's going for $80 now.
I sure wish you were right on that.
Okay. Wow. So more. It's more than that.
This one.
Oh, I forgot that the first party multiplier isn't 100%, it's 200%. So this game is obviously not going for $120.
No, it's actually only 93, a little less than 93, 92 and some change, according to PriceCharting.
92 and some change. If you're going to drop $92 on a Super Nintendo game, the change probably isn't going to be the deal breaker.
Yeah, if you're going to drop $93 on a Super Nintendo thing, just get the mini.
Yeah, you could buy two minis probably for that price.
No, I think the mini's sitting around 70 or 80.
Oh,
I think it's
8.
Yeah, you can't get them anymore. It's rare.
Now it's just gonna the price on that's just gonna keep going up.
Well, I don't know about that, but this game is included in that, along with Final Fantasy 3, which is another thing that we will probably get to eventually. Who knows?
We have to space these out.
It's a good RPG machine. Well, good news for you is I don't own the Final Fantasy 3 cartridge.
Okay.
So it's like not in the rotation.
There we go.
Anytime soon. Don't think I'm going to put it in the rotation anytime soon.
Fair enough.
So 93 for the regular Super Nintendo version. Any guesses on the Super Famicom version of this?
That's probably going for $18.
It's only going for $9.
See, half of that. Yeah. Super Famicom games are dirt cheap in Japan.
Yeah. So if Super Famicom is your thing, maybe go that route. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
$9 is worth it.
Man, if you're a retro video game collector, just make a good life choice and move to Japan.
If you're a retro video game collector, make a good choice and get a new hobby.
That's fair. Yeah. That's actually a better point. A little bit of speaking to yourself there.
A little bit.
All right.
I'm always speaking to myself.
I know.
Some people think I'm crazy, but that's all right. I think 93 is an easy worthless for us, but
yeah, I mean, it helps that you have a way to play it on the classic Super Nintendo Classic. It's a bummer that it's not on the Switch Online service. Makes it a little bit less accessible. It makes it, we have to say, worthless.
Yeah,
at that price. I mean, if you're gonna spend $93 on video games, you can get a whole heck of a lot of video game for $93. So that's
you hard. Really can at this point. So womp womp. It's a good game. Play it, especially if it comes to like Switch Online.
I hope people don't hear us say worthless and forget all of the many glowing nice things we had to say about this game.
This is
people
Jordan.
like to focus on the like couple bad things and the worthless when it's a great game. We're not trying to diminish the quality of the game in any way.
If you want the real important information from our podcast, just skip to the worth it or worthless segment and you'll get everything you need.
Yeah, you get the full context of why we made that decision.
Why every game is worthless.
It has nothing to do with the fact that the market just keeps going up and up and up and up.
Well, that's because people are getting their games graded now, Jordan.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, let's not go there.
All right, my friend, do we have some trivia today?
We do. We have some trivia, and surprisingly, I have 2 pieces because I thought that in all of your research you would have negated at least one of them. But we're going to start with an easy one, okay?
Okay.
Which one of these Nintendo franchises does not make a cameo appearance in Super Mario RPG? Did you see any cameos in this game?
Okay. That's the cameo of the elements. Who made that?
No. Stop. Did you see any Nintendo franchise cameos in this game?
Probably.
Probably. Are you serious?
There were Goombas.
No, stop.
There was
Like
Mario
other...
2. Doki Doki Panic. I saw characters from that in this.
Okay. Are you serious? You didn't like...
I don't remember, Jordan. There's a lot of
Wow.
game here, and I played it over the course
All right.
of like 5 weeks. So
Okay, this is... we normally have 3 or 4 options. This one has 6.
Oh.
One of these does not appear in the game.
Okay.
The rest of them do. Which one of these does not make a cameo appearance? Is it Star Fox, Kirby, F-Zero, Donkey Kong, Legend of Zelda, or Metroid? Which one of those franchises does not make a cameo appearance in this game?
Okay, let's take it from the top.
Star
Fox. I saw an R-wing in this game.
In
It's
the
like a little, like a little
in the
model
volcano shop.
or something. Yes. Okay. Second one was
Kirby.
I don't know if I saw Kirby. What was the third one?
F-Zero.
F-Zero, I think, may have been in the same place as the Star Fox. I don't know.
Yes, right next to it, there's a model
yes.
of Big Blue or whatever
There's
the heck
3
his
models.
whatever
Yeah.
his car
Okay.
is called.
Okay.
Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong, you fight enemies that look like Donkey Kong, and there's a Kong name on some of
called
those.
Chained Kong.
Chained Kong.
Also Gorilla sometimes
Okay.
with like a U. Legend of Zelda.
Legend of Zelda. In one of the inns when you fall asleep, there is a Link who wakes up in a bed next to you or something.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And the last one is Metroid.
Metroid. I don't know if I saw any Metroid references, so I think it's
Okay.
Metroid or Kirby.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kirby's Adventure was out. Kirby's Dream Land was a thing. Metroid, that was also a thing. For some reason, I feel like maybe there was something Metroid, so I'm going to say Kirby.
You are correct. There's actually 2 Samus cameos in this game.
Okay.
She also is sleeping in one of the inn beds, and I don't remember
Really?
the second one. Maybe she's sleeping in 2 inn beds. I don't know. There's 2 Samus cameos in the game.
Oh, I don't think I noticed her.
I
sleeping
thought
in
I
the
could
bed.
trick you with Kirby because like the whole like stars and like
Dream
Road and all
because of
that
the way
kind
your
of
brain
thing.
works and mine doesn't.
It's all right. That was good. It was good to go through all those cameos.
Yeah.
They kept popping up, and I was
Yeah.
like, they're legit having me fight Donkey Kong, and he's like in shackles. That's a little wild. All right, second one. You got that one. Second one. Bowser's victory pose was changed in the American version of the game. In our version, he holds up 2 fists in front of him. What does he do in the Japanese version?
Holds up 2 glasses of champagne.
No, I should have made
Shout
that.
out to our Super Mario Kart episode.
Yeah, I should have had that be one of the answers. So in the Japanese version, does he do a thumbs up? Does he do a thumbs down? Does he give the middle finger, or does he do the up yours gesture?
It's not one of the last 2. It's got to be one of the thumbs up or thumbs down because it's Nintendo. Nintendo's not being all crazy.
Okay. This is his victory pose.
This is victory pose.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna thumbs up is not like a Bowser, but then again, I'm saying thumbs up.
He does the up yours gesture.
Oh, really?
In the Japanese version, and it actually there's a character who does
That's a thumbs up, right?
No, it's one arm vertical with the
Yeah,
other arm
yeah.
horizontal, holding onto the
Yes.
bicep. And so they just took his arm and rotated it so they're both vertical. There's a character, I don't remember which Mario Kart it is, but I think Luigi does the up yours gesture when he passes somebody in one Mario Kart, and they had to edit it. Like that even came in, I think it must be the most recent one then, and they had to like edit it out. So I don't know if that like
Wasn't
has
that the meme one where he's like completely mean mugging and looking like a psychopath as he like passes somebody?
That's a thing on its own, but some Mario Kart character did it up yours as they passed people. So yeah, you got that one wrong. 50% though. That's failing.
Well, no, 50% actually it rounds up to 100.
Good point.
So
yeah, that's fair.
5 technically rounds up.
Does it though? I don't think 5 rounds up.
If you get something 0.5, that rounds up to 1.
Okay.
How do I judge the price charting prices? Well, if it's 92.57, that's 93.
Yeah, 57 would round up. I don't know if 50 rounds up. I think 50 is just an even number.
The 5 rounds up. Don't you know math?
All right, everybody, write this down for next year when we do the trivia of what was our worst opinion. You can go, Dan's rounding logic was one
That's
of our worst
literally
opinions.
rounding logic. 5 rounds up, less than 5 rounds down.
No.
4 and below
You
rounds
need-
down, 5 rounds up.
You got to have something over 5. 5 is just an even number.
No, that's not how math works.
5 isn't an even number, but you guys know what I mean.
No,
50
that's
is
not
an
how
even
math
number.
works.
All right. Anyway, speaking of bounties, Speaking of bounties, this month we're giving away a copy of Super Nintendo Turtles in Time, one of Dan's favorite games.
The best game on the Super
He
Nintendo.
says
If you
the
could only
best
bring
game.
one game to the desert island,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you bring Turtles in Time?
Yeah. We gave away Hyperstone Heist last year, a couple years ago, and that was
for my birthday.
a very popular
Yes.
giveaway. This one is proving to be very popular.
Yeah.
All you have to do to enter this bounty is send us a direct message and let us know what are your top 5 Super Nintendo Desert Island games. If you need some inspiration, go back and listen to our previous episode, which was our top 15 Super Nintendo Desert Island games, and we explain the difference between just your favorite games and a Desert Island game. Send us your top 5
Turtles in Time.
Super Nintendo. Yeah, maybe don't put 3 beat 'em up games on your list, but you do you.
But
We're not going to judge you based on your top 5. All you have to do is send us your top 5 Super Nintendo Desert Island games in a direct message. You can find us at WIOW on Instagram.
Nope.
No, dang, I did it again. At WIOW podcast. I wish we just had that nice, that'd be crazy. 4-letter, whatever it's
Handle.
called. Username, handle, sure. At WIOW podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can also send us an email at
Worth It or Worthless Podcast at gmail.com.
You can also send either Dan or myself a direct message on Discord. Speaking of Discord, if you jump on our Discord, which there is an invitation link in the description of this show, if you jump on our Discord and you just chat in there with us, it's a great time, good community. You can earn up to 3 additional entries by leveling up in the Discord server. Every month that resets, and so you can jump in there, earn some extra entries. Sometimes people win the bounties with their Discord bonus entries. Sometimes win them with just the one singular DM entry. So don't shy away from just entering with that one entry. All you need is one.
Yeah.
Every one of them has the same probability of being pulled. So at the end of the month, we'll pick a winner. And we're looking forward to giving away Turtles in Time.
Yeah. And to clarify, you have to send us a proper DM entry for your Discord bounty entries.
Some people
To
earn
count.
Discord bonus entries and they never submit an official entry, so those don't count.
And of course, the rules are in the description of this podcast
As
for you
always.
to, if Jordan's rambling was unclear in any way, shape, or form,
Which it was.
you can get that in writing. Jordan, the next episode,
Yeah.
Castlevania 2.
Castlevania 2. We had a good time. I think I don't remember what we said in the episode of Castlevania 1, but I have good memories of Castlevania.
Yes.
And I know for a fact that they switched up the formula a lot with Castlevania 2. So I'm looking forward to seeing how does that match up? How does my brain like Castlevania 2 compared to my experience with Castlevania 1? And it's a perfect game to play in October because it's spooky season.
Yeah. Do you know what the spooky story of Castlevania 2 is?
I'm guessing it involves vampires.
It involves parts of Dracula being spread out.
Oh, because they killed
to
him.
retrieve all of the parts of Dracula.
Wait a minute. Are we the bad guy? Are we the bad guy?
Stay tuned. We'll find out.
Oh no! You just made me play as Bowser, and I was conflicted about being. But now I'm going to play a whole game where I'm putting together a vampire.
Yep.
I'm going to feel personally responsible for anybody that he kills or vampirizes.
Yeah, vampirizes. Right. Another thing, Jordan, we're doing in October, I think. We're trying a book club thing.
Yeah.
The second October episode, let's just,
Why not?
throw a preview out there.
It's another spooky game.
It's may or may not be spooky. I don't think it's like spooky in the traditional sense.
I was just kidding. I don't know anything about it.
Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
We're finally unwrapping that old chestnut. I think that's the phrase, right?
Yeah, that's a thing.
You unwrap a chestnut.
You just said it.
Yeah. So there is a boss fight book, a paper book, or a Kindle book, if
Paperback,
digital,
Kindle.
Yep, just like a paperback novel. Nope, don't want to say that.
I don't get the reference.
It's a Nickelback reference.
Oh, okay.
We're doing a book club at some point towards the end of October or possibly the early November. It's going to be like a round table discussion thing.
Yeah.
So if you want to join a conversation about Metal Gear Solid, if you want to join us in this attempt at a prototype event of a book club, let's see how this thing goes sort of deal. Join us and read the boss fight book about Metal Gear Solid.
Yes, which you can Dan will put a link in the description here with that. It's pretty short, so don't be intimidated. It's
pretty
not
short
a long
to you.
book. It's like the length of a chapter reader book that your elementary student might read. So it's not long, and
It's probably less than 200
it's got
pages.
lots
I don't
of
know.
Yeah, absolutely. There's lots of information about the history and the development of the game.
Yeah.
And I haven't read one of these boss fight books, but I have heard glowing reviews.
Yeah,
about
they're
them.
great. They're fantastic. So excited to try to get this this video game book club thing to try to give it a whirl.
We're going to
see
give
how
it a
goes.
shot. See how it goes.
We don't know how it's going to go, but we got to try.
If you need more information, you can send us a DM and we can get you sorted on that.
Yep. Other than that, Jordan, do we got anything else?
I think that's going to do it for this episode for this month. And I'm looking forward to being back with y'all in spooky season.
Spooky season. We don't have a cute pun for October. Sorry, everybody. I don't know how you
honestly, we decided to take a break from the puns, and it's refreshing.
You know what, Jordan? I just realized Castlevania 2, Metal Gear Solid, both Konami games.
Okay.
Is this Okami?
No.
Are we doing Okami?
Certainly not. No. It doesn't. October doesn't even have a hard K sound. It's a ak. I guess that is a hard Akonami. It doesn't work. I'm sorry.
No, it's not Akonami. It's
Octonami.
Okami, which is another video game that people like, I think, generally. But it's funny because it's... Never mind.
Anyway.
We'll see you in Okami.
See you later.
But today, Jordan, have you heard of Animal Crossing?
Yes. Yeah. Big Animal Crossing fan.
That's the thing that people like.
I love it. And there's more of it coming out next month or in November.
Nobody needs that.
Yeah, we need more Animal Crossing in our lives.
Did you get the Mario costumes? Is that a thing in it?
I personally didn't care about that.
Oh, well, fake fan.
I've never really claimed to be a huge Mario fan.
Fair enough. I was talking about Animal Crossing.
Oh,
But-
yeah. There's like a gazillion things to collect in that game.
1 gazillion. I wouldn't know because I've never actually.
There's
I
actually
don't know almost
as
anything.
many items in Animal Crossing as there are mini bosses in Super Mario RPG.
So like 6
Million.
million. We got Animal Crossing music today, Jordan.
Ooh, what'd you
off,
pick?
It's called 3 a.m. by Curly off an album called Nook and Chill.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah, there's a lot of Animal Crossing music out there that people seem to like a lot. So
Yeah.
this just happened to be the one that I picked for today. So
Good choice.
I hope you Animal Crossing fans enjoy this cover of 3 a.m. by Curly. And I hope you have a great Okami.
See you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.